Hello, my name's Rusty Coones, and I have Ken Wahlster of 8 Ball Tires with me. How you doing, Ken?
Hey, doing well, Rusty. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm great. We've been going back and forth, talking to each other about the schedule and everything. I've learned a lot about what you're doing, and I really like your concept.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to go back to how you came up with this concept and the need for it, and kind of fill our viewers in on what's going on with your business.
Sure, absolutely. Let's start at the beginning. Way back about 6 years ago now, I sold a company that I owned. It was a large .com, and I was burnt out. It was big .com running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we had 130 employees and a 107,000 square foot facility. And I was getting calls at 3 in the morning from the websites being hacked by Chinese hackers, and all this crazy stuff that you do with that kind of business. So I was 46 and I sold it, and I thought I was going to retire, but most of my friends knew that wasn't going to happen because I'm a real high energy guy, and I just always have to have something to do. If I'm not riding, then I'm working basically. So I was retired for about 3 months, and I was riding a lot and going through a lot of tires on my motorcycle. And I was complaining to my friends that why don't we have a Discount Tires or Mavis or America's Best Tires, a quick change tire place for motorcycles? Why do I have to take my bike to the dealership and drop it off and get somebody to pick me up? And then 3 days later, get somebody to take me back to the dealership and get my bike. So I was complaining about this. And I remember I was eating beer, or excuse me, drinking beer and eating chicken wings with my friend. And they said, stop complaining about it. Just do it. If you think you can do it, just do it. So that was the genesis behind 8 Ball motorcycle tires. And so what I did was I wrote down a lot of things that I hated about my other company before I sold it. I sold it to a VC firm. We did not get along. And the last 2 years I was there was just the hardest 2 years of my life. And so I had a whole laundry list of things I was never going to do again. So on that list was returns. I hated returns. I hated obsolescence, meaning you buy a bunch of racer jerseys, and then that racer's out for the season because he breaks his collarbone or breaks his ankle or something. Now you got all these jerseys that you can't sell because nobody wants them. I hated fraud. In the online.com business, a lot of people steal stuff. So customers are stealing stuff. I hated employees stealing stuff. We had helmets and jackets and stuff you could steal and sell on Amazon, or excuse me, on eBay. So I came up with why the motorcycle tire business would be very different than that, because you don't get returns very often. I think in 6 years we've had like 3 or 4 sets of tires come back just because people didn't like them or whatever. It's really hard to steal a tire. You can't shove a tire in your jacket and run out of the store. you know, uh, we're not open 24 hours. We have real small teams at each location, somewhere between 3 and 5 people at each location. So it's a real team feel. It feels like the motorcycle shop I grew up working in when I was a teenager, and I think the customers feel that too. That was the genesis behind 8 Ball Motorcycles. Was we need a Discount Tires or America's Best Tires or whatever the local big chain is wherever people live. We need that for motorcycles, and we have the tires in stock. Each location has over 1,000 tires in stock, so we have all the brands, all the sizes. We have qualified techs who install them while you wait. Takes about an hour for a set. A little bit longer if it's a bagger or something. We got to take off bags, maybe an hour and a half. And we have best price guarantee. So we sell our tires. We'll match Amazon or any of the other big resellers. Whatever their tire price is, we will match that. So you can't lose. You just come in. We do it in an hour. You get the best price. You hang out. You shoot some pool on one of the 8 Ball pool tables. Watch some racing on TV. Talk to other motorcycle guys. It's a real old school motorcycle feel.
That's cool. Now, also, I'm real curious about that new tire that's got the soft compound on the edges and
Yeah.
the hard compound where they wear out. Tell us a
Yep.
little
Yep.
bit about that. I mean, that's really a good thing they're doing there.
Yeah. So I'll use the the Harley world, the V twin world as an example, but this goes across V twin, sport bike, even adventure bikes have a lot of this going on now. So back about 4 or 5 years ago, Dunlop came out with the American Elite, which is a dual compound tire. And what that means is in the center of the tire, when you're just straight up riding down the freeway, you're riding on a harder rubber compound, which means it lasts longer.
Yeah.
But when you get into the corners and you're off on the shoulder of the tire, it transitions pretty smoothly into a much softer compound, which is where you want that soft compound when you're in the twisties, throwing it around. So you get kind of the Goldilocks tire, which is you get the longevity and the mileage out of the tire, but you also get the stickiness when you need it in the corners. And that's always been the trade-off is you get a super sticky tire, but it doesn't last very long, or you can get a rock hard tire that's no fun to rail through the twisties on. This one kind of gives you both. Now, in the sport bike world, they're doing the same thing. In fact, some sport bike tires have hard in the center, semi-soft, and then super soft on the edges if you're really getting out and burning those chicken strips off like
Great.
most of the sport bikes like to do.
Man, that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times, just about every time I change tires, it's just got a flat spot right in the center.
Yeah, just the middle, right? And
Yeah,
it's
and on
such
the
a shame because
because
you
the
can
sides are
really use
still,
the whole tire. Yeah.
you've got like 90% of the sidewall still, I mean, all the way down around it, where you're in the corner,
Right.
because you're rarely on the corner like that. So that's
Right. Now
a
you
really
get a
good
nice
feeling.
compound. Yeah. Now you get this nice compound so you can really push it. It feels better, but you also get the confidence in the corner because you're not getting any slip out of that tire where you would probably see that if you had a super hard compound like you do in the center. So it is the Goldilocks, and it totally changed the industry because we're seeing guys, get 12, 15,000 miles out of a rear on a big bagger, and loving the tire, not just, trying to put the hardest rock hard tire possible on it so they can get the biggest mileage out of it. Now they're enjoying the ride and getting the mileage, which is the key.
That's great. So tell me about how many locations do you have right now?
Right now we have four.
Okay.
We have San Diego, Escondido, California, which is about a half hour north of San Diego. We have St. Petersburg, Florida, and we just opened Phoenix with that's actually a shop that was pre-existing that became an 8 Ball. It used to be called the Wheel Shop, and we're now it's joining the 8 Ball family.
Okay, and if anybody wanted to get hold of you, what's the best way on the website?
Yeah, the website is 8ball.tires. So the number 8BALL.tires, not .com. If you type in .com, you'll find us. But 8ball.tires, you can make an appointment online. It'll ask you the year, make, and model of your bike so that the team knows what tires you need when you get to the shop. You can also, this is another different thing, a lot of shops will charge people more if they bring their own tires, which I find offensive, right? Like if the guy has his own tires or the girl has her own tires, great for them. We're not going to charge you any more to put it on because we know the next time you're going to say, why the heck did I even bother? I've seen guys put tires over themselves and wear them like a donut around their
I've
stomach
done
and
that.
ride into the shop. Yeah. And bungee it to the back of their bike and all that kind of stuff. But you don't need to do that with 8 Ball because no matter what the price, if it's advertised price, we're going to match it. So yeah, there those four locations, and we're actively looking at a couple more right now. One of the great things is that the customers and the riding public really enjoy what we're doing. So we have a lot of opportunity to open more stores. So anybody out there listening who has a shop or wants to open an 8 Ball, give me a shout. There's a link right on the website that says opportunities, and that'll send an email directly to me, not this some schleppy PR firm. It's coming right to me.
So if somebody's got a local shop and they like your concept, they can still keep what they have going and somehow become a dealer or an affiliate of yours?
Yep, absolutely. So Phoenix was our first one. Used to be called the Wheel Shop, like I said, and now they're an 8 Ball. They're still called the Wheel Shop for the local customers, but you can go online and make an appointment and go right to their store, all from the 8 Ball website, which is awesome because we have a tire protection plan. So we actually had a customer get a new set of tires in San Diego. He rode his bike all the way to St. Petersburg, Florida. We had no idea he was doing that. He just happened to do a road trip all the way to St. Petersburg, Florida. got a flat in St. Petersburg, came into the 8 Ball, brand new tire, no cost for the labor, no cost for the tire. He was like blown away, right? Because he had just ridden 3,000 miles on it. But as long as there's good tread still left on the tire, he got a free tire and off he went, and super happy. Wrote us a great review, and that's how people hear about us. We don't spend money on advertising. You're not going to see us in magazines or any of that stuff. Where we go is we blow people away with our service, and we're part of the motorcycle community, like your podcast.
Now, one of the things that I really liked is you told me how many tires you stock, which is incredible. Tell me how many tires you stock.
Yeah, we buy a lot of tires, as you can imagine. I think we're up to over 35,000 tires installed now. And each store, depending on the time of year, but each store usually has about 1,000 tires in stock. And that's Metzler, Michelin, Dunlop, Pirelli, and even some boutique brands like Heidenau and Motaz and Continental, which aren't big sellers, but they have some niche tires that are really good for certain things. So the local dealers don't stock them, but we stock them because we're tire geeks. I'll talk about tires all day long. It's kind of weird, but there's nothing that'll change the performance of your bike more than a new set of tires. And that's what we do, is help people enjoy the ride. That's it.
So for every model of motorcycle from all manufacturers, sometimes they have 2 or 3, even up to 4 different types of tire for the same motorcycle, correct?
That's true, yes.
Yeah, you go to the dealer or anywhere, that nobody's going to stock 30, 35,000 tires. I don't care how big that dealer is,
Yeah.
So
It doesn't really,
you're dropping
it's crazy,
the bike.
right?
Huh? Yeah.
It's crazy that we do. And when we started, a couple of people blatantly told me that they didn't think we would succeed. But I looked at the auto market and said, well, nobody takes their car back to the auto dealer, Ford, Chevy, BMW, Porsche, whoever, right, and gets tires. You go to the tire shop, and you do that for convenience and pricing. And most of all, because you can go there for 45 minutes and be out of there. So we take a little bit longer because we got to take the wheels off the bike, unlike a car that's just 5 lug nuts. So it takes us about an hour, but we have about 1,000 tires on average in stock at each location. And like you said, even for let's just say a common Harley, a Sportster, right? Well, we have a Dunlop. There's 2 different models of Dunlop that'll fit that bike. We have the Metzlers. There's 2 different models of Metzler that'll fit that bike. We have Michelin. We have Pirellis. We have Bridgestones. I mean, there's 8 tires right there that'll fit that bike. And it's like food. Everybody's got a preference. First thing that we'll do is say, tell us what is your world? How do you ride your bike? One guy who rides a Sportster, his idea of fun is going out and railing the canyons on the weekend. Another guy just rides it 60 miles back and forth to work every day. Those are 2 different tires. So we want to make sure we help that person get into the right tire for their bike and their riding style. And that's what we do.
So this multi-compound tire, is this expanding across all brands now, or is it limited to a few?
No, it's a little bit different technology in different brands. For example, Continental actually cures their tires at different temperatures. So in their mold, the center of the tire is hotter in the mold, and it makes it harder. And the edges aren't as hot, so it keeps it softer. But in the Dunlop tire, if you take a look at it, you can actually see a little tiny line if you're real close and you look real close. That's the transition in the rubber. So from one compound to another compound. And I've had the pleasure of going to the Dunlop factory in New York, and it's in Buffalo. And it's amazing to see them make. First of all, the factory is super cool because it was built during World War II. And these guys are riding bicycles all over the place. And I was like, what's up with all these bicycles, right? Well, the Department of Defense, because they were critical to the war effort, made them build the factory on like a hub and spoke type of configuration. In case it got bombed, it would only hit one node of the factory. So it's this crazy factory, and these guys are riding these bicycles all over the place and ringing their bell so you get out of their way. But to watch them make the tires is not what people think. They actually, there's a big machine, obviously, but there's a person hand laying some of this rubber into this machine to get it just right. It's not just like a conveyor belt of a big factory that just has, rubber trees going in one side and tires coming out the other side. They're real people there working. And they do an amazing job. And the tires that we're riding today compared to the tires that I started on 30 years ago are literally like light years ahead, making us better riders, and just making it a safer ride, and just giving us the ability to push it for the guys who want to go fast. They're just the tires are so amazing now. It's crazy.
When I was a youngster, I had an old knucklehead chopper, and we used to ride to the parties up in the mountains and everything. We were always broke, you know.
Yeah.
Everything was breaking all the time, parts falling off, vibrating, all that. And I went out to a party in Elsinore, and I had a bald tire on the way out. Like a fool, I just rode out anyway. And I had a flat. It was one of the old Goodyear 16s, back
Yeah.
then. And so I'm coming back the next morning at daylight on a Sunday morning, and it's a 2-lane road before all the 15 and all that. And the thing went out. So I'm on the side of the road, and the only people coming by are people on the way to church. And they just look at me and they just keep going, And I am beat and tired. I've been up all night partying.
Yeah.
I just want to get the hell back. So what I did is I took my buck knife and I started cutting. I couldn't cut through the bead around the rim with the steel. So I cut all on both sides. I cut all the way around and left that and got the main part of the tire off. And I rode that thing to Corona, to a restaurant, and like a breakfast place. I was tired and hungry. And that thing was all over. I was jumping.
Yeah.
I bent the hell out of the rim. I didn't even care. You know what I mean? I just wanted to get off the road. And so I get to the restaurant, and I'm so tired. I lay down in the parking lot, take a nap before I even had breakfast, and I called somebody.
Yeah. Well, you just remind me another something we run into a lot because we change so many tires is as the tire wears out, it gets thinner, right? The rubber is getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and it's getting more and more close to the metal. So your ratio of metal to rubber increases, the ratio of rubber to metal decreases, and it holds more heat. So you've got less rubber running hotter. So the tire wears faster the older it is, the more worn it is. So you, especially guys on baggers, because it's kind of hard to see under there and see what the tire looks like. They look at it and it's like, oh, I need a new tire. And then they'll go for a 400-mile ride. And by the time they're done, they're showing threads on the back wheel because, it just wears out so much faster because it can't get rid of that heat. So heat and rubber, the rubber gets hotter, it flakes off faster. So we teach people to look at those wear bars. If you look at the void in your tread, there's always, tread that's going this way and that way. And there's always a bar that goes across. And when that bar is flush with the main part of the tire on the outside, it's time for a new tire because it's going to wear out real quick then.
So that's good advice right there. And I've seen some people go down, like a couple I can think of right now on a bagger with the tour pack and everything, and they got tore up really bad.
Yeah,
from a bad
tire. I wish there was. A friend of mine had a Royal Enfield. And it was really crazy because the rear fender would lift up. It had 2 little pegs, and you pull it out, and the whole fender would lift up. You could pull the tire straight out if you wanted to change it. But more importantly, you could see the whole tread, half the tire. Mm-hmm. And on the baggers, you literally, like I had an Indian Roadmaster, you have to lay down on the ground and look at the tire, and then you're only seeing this much of it at the time. So you got to get up and move it a couple inches and then lay it back down. So most people don't do that. And, it is important to check them because we want everybody to be safe. And an accident caused by a worn out tire could have been avoided. That's, accidents happen, but that one could have been avoided.
One of my bikes, it's about 170 horsepower, and I go through rear tires like crazy on that thing.
Yeah.
And next tire, I'm going to make sure I look into that.
Yeah. 2 things that kill tires are weight, which says probably a heavy bike, and torque, right? So it's your right hand and how much this thing weighs. So I ride my current ride right now. I'm 52 and I've had 52 motorcycles. I'm trying to stay ahead of that curve. Right now I'm riding a BMW GS 1250 Adventure. It's a heavy bike, it weighs 600 plus pounds. And it has a lot of torque, not what you're talking about, but it has a lot of torque. So I'm an aggressive rider. So I just an aggressive rider. To some people I'm fast, to other people I'm not. So it's all, on the spectrum, right? But if I get 4 or 5 thousand miles out of a set of tires, I'm happy, right? I'm super happy. One of my friends who is way faster than I am, if he gets 2,000 miles out of a set of tires, he's happy. And then we have customers, they maybe get a little upset if they don't get 20,000 miles out of a set of tires.
Yeah.
So it's all different,
Well, the one thing I like about your concept also is, like with myself, I shop. I'm always looking for the deepest deal. I'm all over the place online and checking everybody out. And I usually have the tires shipped to my house, and then I take them unless I'm in a hurry, and they have them in stock and they give me a decent price. You take all that away. If somebody's got one of your dealers close by, they don't have to worry about that. You've done it all for them. You're getting the deepest prices, buying it volume, and you're passing it on to them. And it's there. You don't have to order it. You go in the same day and you ride away with it.
Yeah, we check all of our big competitors every month. We go out and we look up the top tires and we make sure our pricing is at least as good as theirs. But literally, it's no problem. If a customer walks in and says, "Hey, I saw this tire on Amazon for 10 cents less," we will match it. It's no questions asked. We're not going to fight about it. It's just, hey, we want to take care of you. And thank you for bringing this to our attention, because now we know we need to lower this price on this tire because we have best price guarantee. You shouldn't even have to think about it. You walk into an 8-ball, you're going to get the best price on the tire.
Right on. So I see you're a big rider. What age were you when you first got into motorcycles?
Yeah, I have a weird story. Like so many stories, it started with a girl, right? I was a year younger than everybody I went to high school with, mainly because my dad didn't like me and wanted me to get out of the house and go to school early. So all my friends were getting their driver's license, and I couldn't. But I grew up in Pennsylvania, and at the time, I think it's still the case, you can get your learner's permit for a motorcycle at 15. And you're not allowed to ride after dark, and you're not allowed to have a passenger unless they're a licensed motorcycle rider. But nobody knew that. So I, wanted to impress a girl and decided that motorcycles were cool. She would think motorcycles were cool. And I could get one a year earlier so that I had my own set of wheels and could get around. So I bought I don't remember the year. I believe it was a 1981 Yamaha 250 Exciter, single cylinder 250 street bike. I mean, the thing went about 75 miles an hour top speed, if that. And I rode it year round in Pennsylvania, crashed a few times in the winter on the ice. But that was the beginning of my love affair with motorcycles. And I've been, I've had a lot of opportunities in my life and been successful. And I bought fancy cars and fast cars. And I bought a factory 5 Shelby Cobra, if you know what that is. I mean, this thing was just amazing. Bought it at the Mecum auctions up in LA, just a death machine. And if I had free time on a Sunday, I would jump on my motorcycle. That's just the way it was. So I sold the car because I never used it, and I'd much rather ride motorcycles. And I love all motorcycles. I have a Vespa 300 Giorni in my garage, which is my get around town bike. I live by the beach here in San Diego, so in the summertime, there's tourists and there's no place to park. I'm on the Vespa. I pull it right up on the sidewalk, right in front of the taco shop. I don't care who says anything to me. I'm one of those outlaw Vespa guys, right? And then I'll jump on my GS and ride from San Diego to Cabo San Lucas, dirt off-road the whole way. And my wife loves to ride. She rides on the back. She'll even ride off-road on the back with me on the big GSs. She wants her own Vespa now. So yeah, we're a riding family. All the kids ride. So that's just who we are.
That's great, man. Well, look, it's been really good talking to you. Before we sign off, is there anything else you want to cover with your life or with your companies?
No, just anybody out there who's interested in talking about 8 ball, just go on the website and click on the opportunities tab and let me know where you live, and we'll talk about it. And, I love to expand 8 ball. We get tons of requests. I was on another podcast that's big on the East Coast and got a couple of requests for some places out there. So we're up for whatever, and I think we're gonna have 40 or 50 8 balls before too long. So I think anybody who wants to talk about it, just give me a call.
You got a great concept there, and I can't see why it's not going to take off like that. You're really saving people a lot of legwork. You know what I mean? It's a great thing. I wish you the best, and it was really good talking to you.
Thanks, Rusty. It was great talking to you too.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.